No, they
Good afternoon. I know we have some others in the back. If you come on in, there are a few more chairs scattered here and there. A few if you like to sit up front. Come on in. What a crowd. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is really an honor to see so many of you come out on a busy afternoon to be with us for this special event. We appreciate each and every one of you so very, very much. Today we're here to have a very special occasion, and that is to launch our 2022 One Vision campaign. Vision 2022 is our community and economic development long-range plan. It really came about by us going outside of our community and taking a look at a number of other communities that had really transformed themselves into a thriving economic center. We went to places like Richmond, Virginia, Oklahoma City, Nashville, Tennessee, Chattanooga, places like that, and we found one common thread in each one of those communities, and that was that each of those had a 10-year plan. Now, very honestly, in this business, we don't do many 10-year plans. In the last 20, 30 years, they've been 5-year plans. And so we asked them about the 10-year plans and why they did it. And the words that came back were very convincing. They showed us that you had larger issues that you had to tackle that weren't going to be done in 10 years. You had to look ahead. You had to have a vision, and that's why we named our particular adventure Vision 2022. During the planning process, thousands of people, and just shows how inclusive this was, thousands of people were included in our plan, in our planning effort over the past year. Many of you in this room have been a part of it already, and if you haven't, there's plenty of chances to still get involved. But we've been very inclusive as we've moved forward on this effort. It should also be noted that the Vision 2022 plan is a very regional plan. We're a regional organization, and with intention, we made this a regional plan. And even though it's a regional plan, it is very complementary of MEC and Blake Wilson's plan for the state, Blueprint Mississippi. We made sure that the two work together. And so I thank Blueprint and MEC for working with us on that. Today, as we look at the plan, we want to and roll it out to you. We want to hear your feedback, but of course we do want you to help implement the findings. Vision 2022 is an aggressive plan, and it's one that many times people are going to be a little hesitant about because they're going to say, are you sure we can do that? There are too many times that we don't give ourselves the credit that we should take in this community. And so I think it's very, very important that we just stop for a couple minutes and think about all the good things that you in this room and others have done in this region to make this a great place to live and work. Because it's when we stop and think about those things that we become bold enough to know that we can be as optimistic about our plan as we really are. So in this particular time of the election, I'm going to swing a little bit towards the politics and just ask you to work with me a little bit on this. I think it's important that we take a look at some of the good things that are going on, and let's celebrate those. And I'm going to, a few old ones, a few new ones, but even hearkening back to the fact that Southwest Airlines came to this community when nobody thought they would. And Southwest Airlines, along with all the other good service that we have out at Jackson Evers International Airport, is so important to us. And in fact, there are numerous cities our size and a lot larger that don't have that type of service that would do anything they could to have it. So give yourself a hand. Celebrate that fact that we have Southwest Airlines in the city. Another illustration would be that of auto assembly plants. Auto assembly plants are the real plum out there that everybody looks for. And you have to just do everything in the world, a tremendous amount of work to even be a blip on the radar screen for a particular project like that. And yet, this community was able to not only be the blip on the screen and not only to get an auto assembly plant in our area, but to get the crown jewel of all auto assembly plants, Nissan North America and all their tier suppliers. Let's celebrate that fact. Healthcare. How can we talk about this community without talking about healthcare? Healthcare in this community is excellent. It is a quality of life fact that we have that we should really embrace. But also it's an economic development driver. Healthcare in this community is only going to be enhanced in the future because of all the great collaboration and cooperation that we are now seeing amongst the leaders in the medical community. And you can mark that one down. But just on the economic snapshot of the current time that we live in, if you look at just the health care that's provided for in the Metro Jackson area, that gives you 59,000 jobs across the state of Mississippi. Just our healthcare industry right here is worthy of 59,000 jobs across the entire state. And if you look at it another way, just our folks here generate for the state of Mississippi an economic impact of over $6.3 billion. Give yourself a hand for that healthcare. But it will be an aggressive plan that you're going to hear the details on. And I just think back about one more thing, one more comment that I want to make, and that is that Oliver Wendell Holmes once said that what lies behind us and what lies in front of us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And I think that's what makes me so enthusiastic about where we're going to go with this plan, because I know what lies within us. I know that in this room and the people outside this room in the community have caring hearts. I know we have giving spirits, and I know we have such a strong faith-based community that we can do anything that we really want to do. And if we put it in this plan and we say we're going to do it, we can do it. I think it's very important that as we move forward to think back at the day that we started this whole process. It was 18 months ago. Some of you, by show of hands, how many were here the first day when we were in this room and we had Mick Fleming with us? Few? Not many, but a few. There were about 60 people in here, and we talked about just what could we do, brainstorm some ideas. And we came up with a lot of thoughts. Some of them actually made the plan as we went through the planning process. But during that time, Mick Fleming gave an illustration, and it's still apropos today. And that was, and for those of you that have heard it, excuse me, and I'll go through the short version, but it is all about the beaker and the boulders. And some of you know that. The professor walks in and sets on the front of the desk the beaker. He decides that he's going to put in some boulders into that beaker. And when that gets up to the top, he says, "Is it full?" And of course, all the folks said, "Yes." So then he reached behind him, they had not seen it, and he pulls out a bunch of pebbles, gravel, pours it into the beaker around the boulders, and they filter on down. He said, "Now?" And they said, "Yes, now it's full." Just a second, he reaches back one more time. He gets some sand. He pours the sand into the beaker. Of course, it all filters on down into the different crevices. And he puts the whole bag of sand in. He said, "Now, is it full?" And they all go, "Now it's full, up to the top." He said, "One more thing." He got a pitcher of water, and he poured it. And of course, that whole pitcher of water went into that beaker. The moral of that story is that you can't put the sand in first. You can't put the water in first. You've got to put the boulders in if you're going to get it all in your plan. And that's where we're at today. Vision 2022 is about taking care of some of the boulders up front. Our plan, Vision 2022, is 97 pages long. It has hundreds of goals and objectives. They're all good. We're going to address each and every one of those as we go forward. But we need to take care of the big things first. If we don't, we won't have the time, we won't have the resources, we won't have this, we won't have that. So this plan focuses on the major boulders, the major initiatives. Today you're going to quickly hear about 10 of them. We have 6 co-chairmen of the steering committee. I will announce the first one is Mayor Gene McGee, who is not going to speak today because we thought he was going to be on jury duty. So excuse me. Thank you for all your help, Mayor. But the others will come forward and they're going to each one address one of the different major initiatives that we have. Before we go there and I introduce them, I will tell you this. After they're done speaking, we will take a couple of questions and answers. But at the same time, we do have a special presentation to make today, a special event that we are going to be doing right here, and nobody really knows much about it, but I think it's going to excite everybody. So we'll hold that to the end. That's a little nugget for those of you that are trying to stand up through all this. I'm sorry. Blake, you told me to send it out how many times?
At least 100.
Yeah. He told me if you just send out the notice enough times, you'll fill the room. I now believe you. We appreciate it. But as far as addressing the issues of today, I'm going to call upon first Paul Moak, who was our chairman in 2011. He will come to the podium first, and then following Paul, after he's done, and without further introduction, Mayor, the Honorable Harvey Johnson, Mayor of the City of Jackson, will come forward. Following the Mayor, we will have Mayo Flint, who is our chairman of the board this year, 2012. Following Mayo will be the Honorable Gary Rhodes, Mayor of the City of Flowood. And batting cleanup will be Socrates Garrett, who is our chairman of the board, coming next year. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Moak.
Thank you, Gordon. I'm excited to be here as well. The reason for my excitement has been what has occurred up until this point in time, where so many people, many of you in this room, from many different walks of life, from many different experiences, have joined together from all over this metropolitan area. And the thing that kind of came through all of those meetings and experiences to me was the passion that so many people had, that are of the belief that we can have a better place. And that's what this plan is all about, creating a place that's better than where we currently are, and without the plan, we wouldn't have a path to get there. So I'm excited to be a part of it. There are 10 major components that we're talking about today. One of those, Dwayne has already covered pretty well, and it's healthcare. When we're sick or ailing, or family members hurting, we want healthcare. And we have excellent healthcare here in this metropolitan area, but we want to find a way to create a higher center of excellence so that more people choose to come here for their health care rather than choosing to go somewhere else. The healthcare industry is such a major driver of our economy. You heard the number of jobs, good jobs with benefits. We want to encourage ways to increase that, to find ways to enhance research and development so that companies that are interested in the healthcare industry will choose to come here and locate, bring jobs and resources with them in the healthcare area. We know our governor has great interest in healthcare. A few days after he was elected in November of 11, he led a group to Houston, Texas to visit the Texas Medical Center, perhaps the most famous and successful medical corridor in the world, where you have competing institutions literally next door to each other, but they've collaborated in a way that causes the whole to be greater than the sum of the parts. And can we do something along that same line here in our own backyard? The governor led the creation of legislation and he signed into law this year that allows additional tools to be available to help create medical corridors, much like the one that's been announced already that's underway in terms of development here in our own area. So the healthcare is a very important part of this overall plan. For several years now, there's been a group that we call stakeholders that have been meeting on a regular basis. Over 100 stakeholders, and when I say 100, I'm not talking about 100 individuals, 100 entities. Many of those have thousands of employees. The leaders of those have been sitting around the table, working and talking and what can we come together on that makes sense so that we are better in the future than we are today. So as we go forward with this Vision 2022, Dwayne will be our overall chairman of the Greater Jackson Partnership, as he currently is, and will have emphasis on this plan, but he also personally will be involved with this component and leading the charge in the healthcare arena. As you hear these other points unfolded today, you'll realize that a lot of them have to do with place. How do we create a better place here so that more people desire to be in this part of the world? And part of that is retaining the people that we have. When we went to Nashville a couple of years ago under the leadership of Dr. Clay Hayes and met with a number of different entities talking about the success they have in their area in a lot of different arenas, when we would get back together and rehearse or re-talk about what we had heard, we realized that many of the people that were talking to us were from here. Their parents were here, they grew up here, they went to school here, but they've chosen to be somewhere else. And we find that example all across this land as talent has left our area, and we want to find a way to help retain talent here. Robbie Rezu, who is talent that we have retained here, is going to be leading this area and trying to work with others to put together a group that will find ways to help retain talent here in our Greater Jackson area. It's my privilege to introduce the Honorable Mayor of the City of Jackson, Harvey L. Johnson, to continue talking about these projects.
Good afternoon to everyone. It's my pleasure to be here as well to help present the results of this planning effort. And you know, having spent some time in planning, a number of years, I realize that we have a lot of plans, but plans must be implemented. And that's what's so exciting about this effort, this project, that we're not only looking at a planning process, we're looking at an implementation process, and that's extremely important. I'm here to talk about two aspects of the plan. The first is the core city. And of course, that's Jackson. And it's so important because the core city contributes to the quality of life, the cultural resources, entertainment, amenities of the residents of the entire region. As my good friend, who you're going to hear from later on, Mayor Gary Rose from Flowood, he likes to say that Jackson is the trunk of the tree. And just like any trunk of the tree, the trunk has to be healthy in order for the branches to be healthy. And that's a very important concept here in this particular plan. We have focused on a lot of downtown development. In fact, some would say that downtown is enjoying a renaissance. But not only have we had development downtown, but we had development around town. There's about $500 million worth of development in the urban core here in Jackson. And there are other projects that are being planned or on the drawing board that are ongoing now. Anywhere from two-way and Capitol Street to, of course, Fortification Street development version. I see a smile on your face every time I say that. Old Capitol Green, the Ferry Street Entertainment District, the Convention Center Hotel, all being planned in the works right now is the revitalization and redevelopment of the Iron Horse Grill. We also have other projects across the city, the retail development that's coming on I-55 North, the medical office building at Baptist on State Street, the Calvary Street Baptist Church healthcare facility that you'll be hearing more about. But as downtown Jackson strives to attract new businesses and new residents, you know, it's important that the entire region, and this entire region does, value and appreciate the critical need for a strong central city. It's needed in order to drive economic development throughout the region. So Greater Jackson, the Greater Jackson area must acknowledge that the trends that are taking place in the core city significantly affect the competitive position of the broader Jackson region. And by the way, the Jackson region is one of the top 100 regions in the country, and in the top 25 capital city regions in the country. When it comes to regional transportation, we have to think long-term. Many of you have heard about J-Tran, which is, quite frankly, the only public transportation system in the region. There's a need to expand public transportation in the region. The ability of for residents and visitors alike to get around the region without a car is extremely important. It is critical to community vitality, to workforce sustainability, and to tourism competitiveness. Jackson area stakeholders all agree that more must be done to boost our local transit capacity and to better connect the regional communities here in the capital region. Multi-purpose trails are also very important. In fact, they're becoming a de facto amenity that residents and information age businesses not only want, but they in fact demand. I'd like to go off script for a minute to commend the mayor who's not speaking today, Gene McGee from Ridgeland. Ridgeland has done an excellent job, tremendous job in developing bikeways and pedestrian trails in that city. And now our challenge is, Mayor Rhodes and I and other mayors in the region, is to not only develop trails within the region, but make sure that those trails connect so residents of the entire region can use them. These trails are very important. They are a huge asset to our region, and they greatly enhance the quality of life in the region. They promote a healthy community, provide recreation, impact the environment. They provide an alternative mode of transportation, as I indicated earlier. They generate economic benefits to the local economy. They impact tourism, and also, as Paul spoke about, they also impact talent retention. So it's important that our region work to establish a comprehensive bike and pedestrian trail system. As I said, the good news is we've already started that process. The challenge is to make sure that we connect them and we keep the momentum that was started just in Ridgeland going. Thank you for your indulgence, and I'd like to now introduce and bring on Mayor Flint for the next part of the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. It's a privilege for me to stand before you today, and it's been an honor for me to be the chairman of the Greater Jackson Chamber Partnership this year. And while I'm up here, I just want to say thank you to so many people who are in this room that have been involved in this process. It has been a very thoughtful process. There's been a lot of input and engagement and a lot of work. Dwayne and the team at the Chamber have done a lot of work. There have been a lot of meetings by folks who have come for breakfast and lunch, and I think that we've got a really good product that we can be very proud of, and it's going to make a big difference in our community over the next 10 years. When you look around the country and you see some of the communities that have been revitalized, Chattanooga, Little Rock, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, you see a common theme: water. That common theme has made a big difference in these communities. And one of our initiatives is for us to work together with the Corps of Engineers, the Levee Board, the Pearl River Vision Foundation, state and local and federal leaders to build a 1,500-acre lake right in the center of this region. Now, the lake project is something that's been talked about for a long, long time, but never in the 30-year or 30-plus years of this issue have all of the key players come together to support a common plan until today. for the first time, the levee board, the Corps of Engineers, the Pearl River Vision Foundation, and the leaders on both sides of the river support a common plan. That has never happened before, folks. And it is time for us to get behind that plan and make it a reality. Because when we do, we will totally transform this community and we will produce economic and quality of life benefits for the people in this region like other communities around the country are enjoying. And it will make a huge, huge difference in the greater Jackson region. When the lake is built, it will make us unique. And that's what people look for in communities, where they want to live, they want to visit, they want something that's unique. And another initiative that makes us unique is arts and culture. We're going to work to establish, even more so than I think it is now, this region as an art and culture destination. We have a great foundation. We have institutions like the Museum of Art, the Craftsman's Guild out in Ridgeland. We have unique attractions like the St. Patty's Day Parade and the Sweet Potato Queens. It's those types of unique events and attractions that attract people to places. We want to build on what we already have and make the arts and culture of this region stronger, better, more vibrant, and really build on the creative economy. Mississippi as a whole, as we all know, has a rich, rich arts legacy. And as the capital city, we believe that this is something that we can put a lot of attention on, building on a foundation that we already have to make this an even more attractive community. Because as we talked about earlier, retaining and attracting local talent is what's going to be crucial for us going forward. Allison Cruz is going to lead that task force. Is Allison here today? She may not be able to be here. And I'm going to lead the task force on the lake project. So at this time, you know, when you get old and you have to wear glasses, now I'm going to introduce Mayor Gary Rhodes, who will talk about two more of our key initiatives. Thank you.
Believe it or not, I'm here to talk about aerospace. There's a sudden shift happening today in America, just like it happened in the early 2000s with the automobile industry. The aerospace industry is basically looking for places that are pro-business, friendly, wanting their type services. We have the Jackson Evers International Airport, sits right here in our region, that backs up 2,000 acres of Jackson's property that sits in Rankin County. That gets complicated, but Harvey's a good friend. We go out there and meet in the woods all the time and talk about it and look at the squirrels. No, really, we opened up a 4-lane boulevard, which is called East Metro Access Road, to access this 2,000 acres on the east side of Jackson International Airport. So hopefully, talking about the aerospace industry, you know, we've had GE Aviation, Eurocopter, and Airbus, all recently kind of came around us or within the state. So there's a driving need there. Being the capital city region, we must do our part in preparing for this southern shift, just like it happened in the automobile industry. Today, we now have the ability to market runway sites next to our airport with the opening of the East Metro Access Road next month, 4-lane boulevard that will eventually tie to I-20 back down to 25, opening every bit of that property up. Be a great site to have a bowling or something of that nature. And the magnitude of that economic development with its high-paying jobs and salaries and benefits that benefits all in the region. There's two selling points we have here, that being the unmanned pilot training that's currently coming to Bolton, sponsored by the Hines Community College. And the other is our ability to be able to market this area now, since we have it opened up by this East Metro Access Road. The other part of this process is regional infrastructure. Just as I stand here today, I have a skeleton holding me up, and each one of my bones in my skeleton allow me to stand here. Anything you do regionally, and we have a lot of regional aspects going on today that a lot of people don't realize. The Savannah Street Treatment Center, the city of Jackson owns, is a regional system where me and Mr. McGee, Mayor McGee from Ridgeland, we come into. A lot of people don't know this. The things are in place that have been regional, but we have to support our regional infrastructure to have or allow anyone to come in and look at us. We must work together and plan to ensure that our area will have the necessary transportation, water supply, wastewater treatment, landfills, energy, communication resources needed to serve our present needs and the needs of those that we're trying to get here. My little part of this, when I get to Mayor Fluid, start talking about aerospace, and I mean, that's kind of funny. But I do know about teamwork, because that's how I was able to get through college and being part of a team. I was on winning teams, I was on losing teams. But the thing about whether I was on a winning or losing team, each individual player had the opportunity, and it's his priority to determine whether he's going to participate and give his 100%. Those are the teams I was on that was 100%. I have enjoyed being on this team, future planning, listening to other people's ideas, because that's how I learn, that's how we make decisions in our city. I listen to everybody's opinion because they all have one, kind of like this right here. But you learn from that process and that experience. It's been my pleasure to work with Mayor Johnson, Mayor McGee for at least 12 years. Mayor Johnson and the mayor before him, Mayor Ditto. I was even in between with Mayor, what was the last one? Anyway, y'all changed mayors more over here in Jackson than we do over in Rankin County. But anyway, it's kind of hard to keep, but I have had the pleasure to work with Mayor Johnson. He's been him and Dwayne O'Neill and all the others here at the Chamber have done an excellent job in putting this coalition together. But it all comes down to team player. Do you want to be part of the team, or do you want to stand on the outside and watch the news media? I'm glad they're here today, because they usually have everything negative to say and perceive us out in the AP, United States, as they give facts. But sometimes we need some good facts coming out. And, I'm from the city, and this regional area is where I have grown up. When the Lamar Theater was down here, that's what I had to do as a child. That's the reason I always refer to our capital city as the trunk of the tree. The branches and leaves might grow out, get longer and wider, but if the trunk dies, the leaves die and fall off way before the trunk. Thank you.
I feel like Terry Bradshaw now. I can go off script. Speaking of going off script, we talk about education. That's what they told me to talk about, and talk about education and regional marketing. But just going off script a bit, I remember back in school, our science professor came in and he had a fifth of Jack Daniels, and he had some earthworms, and he took the earthworms and put it in a glass and poured the Jack Daniels in, and the worms died. And he said, this should teach all of my students what will happen if you drink alcohol. Do all of y'all get it? And my classmates stood up and said, yes, I get it. If I drink alcohol, I won't have worms.
was an important day for me in school. It's a pleasure to be here and speak with you today. I'm here to talk about education. And first, do you realize and recognize that we have 40,000 plus students that go to school in our area? 40,000 plus. That they attend 6 major colleges and universities. We have 2 community college, public and private systems in the elementary and secondary education. We have the prestigious Mississippi School of Law that has gone above and beyond. By the way, they're located right here in our capital city. And they've gone above and beyond to educate their students and to promote this region. We have the University of Mississippi Medical Center in this market, a renowned academic and research facility. What a great core to build upon that we have right here in our market. We have the infrastructure in place to improve education in our market. Now, all of our children don't understand the benefits and the value of education. So they won't excel. They won't succeed because they don't understand the value and the benefit of education. And the value and the benefit of education is first instilled in our children by the parents in the home. However, you as a parent must know the value yourself and know how critical it is for your child to learn the technological and soft skills necessary to get a good job. Most of our children are having difficulty in the critical science areas. That's math and science. And there are a lot of different reasons for that. Research has shown, though, that if a child is born in poverty, comes from a non-traditional family, that's being a family with one parent instead of 2, if that child is being reared by an individual that did not understand the value of education themselves, then it's going to be difficult for this child to succeed. We must not allow that to happen in our education systems. We must go to the community, to the total community structure, where the extended family, the politicians, the educators, the business and community leaders must be involved. We must instill early on in a child the value of education. It has been noted by one of our participants that the greatest injustice in our society today is the lack of educating our children. We must embark upon an aggressive campaign that we mandate that all of our children receive an education, starting early at the grassroots level and continuing throughout their education career, throughout higher education. We must accomplish this, realizing that our children are our future, and they are the future of this region. Regional marketing. We're going to use in regional marketing the CEOs of our major companies that are already located here in our region. They've demonstrated how much they love and how much they care for this region by their presence. We're going to ask them to explain to the nation why they chose Mississippi and this particular region to do business. You understand that we have some major players in our marketplace, and we're going to use these CEOs. Major players like Nissan North America, Lockheed Martin are here in this area as well. My friend Siemens is here in this area as well. We're going to ask them, and don't let me leave out Nucor Steel, premier player in this marketplace. We're going to ask these CEOs to tell their story to the nation as to why they chose this particular area to launch their businesses and grow their businesses. Notwithstanding though, we're going to involve our small business community and our minority business community. We're going to promote our diversity. For we know that most jobs are created in our small business community. We're going to get that done. Finally, we're going to reach out to top performing companies outside of the region. We must bring top performing companies into this marketplace. So we're going to launch an aggressive campaign to recruit these businesses. And that will be one of the planks on our economic development program. Thank you very much for listening to me. And at this time, I'll ask Dwayne, by the way, I'm your incoming chairman of the Jackson Partnership. My, how things change. It's going to be a great day. I'm looking forward to that. And at this time, I will ask Dwayne O'Neill, our president, if he'll come forward for closing remarks.
I think you can see why we're very excited about this, because we've had such great chairs and all you working on this all the way through the process. It's been fantastic. Thank again each one of you for your contributions to this. There's one more chairman. We're big into chairman, 6 co-chairmen. Got one more chairman that we have to talk about though, and that's because these types of things, now that we've got the planning done, you can't just go out and do things. You got to have the wherewithal to do things. And so and you can't implement it without having the wherewithal and having somebody there to help implement it. So we have called on one more individual, and it's another past chairman. And so it's great to have him back in the fold. He's a great friend, but I want to introduce to you today the guy that you're going to be hearing from in the future. We won't let him take the mic today, but it is Bill Lampton, who from Ergon is going to be our campaign chairman. Bill, stand up, Bill. Also, today, behind some of the folks that are standing back there are tables with those 10 major initiatives names on it. If you would, we'd love to know where you want to spend some time working with us. If you can go back there and sign your name up for call us later, whatever it takes, but we want to make sure we have you down so you're a part of where we're going. I'm still holding the special announcement, but I do think it would, before we do that, because that's going to put us off stage for just a little bit, I would like to know if we have questions, we'll take some questions now. We're not going to go a long time, but I'll take some questions, and then we'll go to the special presentation. Yes, sir.
Have any specific areas been proposed for this lake development?
Any particular area for the lake development? Well, the lake itself, yes. We have the lake is pretty well mapped out, and that would be something that I'm going to turn over to one of the folks from the lake that are working on that particular. Dallas, why don't you come up here?
Yes, yes, we do have it mapped out. It runs along the Pearl River for Jackson, approximately from Lake Drive down to around Spanish River. So it's about a 7-mile stretch there along Pearl River.
Good, thank you, Dallas. Dallas Quinn. Other questions? Everybody understands where we're going? Everybody's going to help? Raise your hand if you're going to help us get there. Okay. Who didn't I see raised? No, I didn't see that. Okay, well, let's do this then. And and again, we'll be around for questions if anybody has them later. But I think one of the things that we want to do, and your question led right into it, and so it's perfect timing. And that is that this organization, the partnership and the chamber, have been part of the effort to do something with flood control and the lake ever since 1979. Now, just like in this plan, we haven't been the leader, and in this plan there are some of the things that we'll lead, and some that we'll support, and some will play a different role. It's whoever needs to be playing the leadership roles and the different roles as we move forward. But with the lake, as was already stated by Chairman Flynn, you have so many folks that have come together at the right time. Something that so many people said, would this ever happen in our lifetime? I know that the people representing the lake feel like it's intimate, and we know that from our standpoint at the partnership, we feel like it is there for the taking. We believe this is going to happen very soon, but to do it and to get it moving even a little bit quicker, the partnership felt it was right, because we have been there since 1979, to join in and help the cause. And so, Jenny, where are you at? If the folks from Pearl River Vision Foundation and the Levee Board and John McGowan, you're here, we appreciate you so much, what you've done. Will you and your team join everybody I just mentioned down here? There's a presentation that Mayo Flynn is going to make from the partnership.
Well, I'll just do it up here so that you can hear me. As I said earlier, never before have all the parties come together in support of a common plan, and something happened, I guess about a month or so ago. The Levee Board signed a contract with the Corps of Engineers to begin the process, and the Levee Board in turn is working with the Pearl River Foundation to do all of the studies that will need to be completed and turned in to the federal agencies in Washington for this to begin. And once those are done, Mr. McGowan and his team can begin turning dirt, and the water can begin to flow. So this check for $150,000, $200,000, sorry, $200,000. I can't see. No, I'm sorry, I know how much it is. $200,000 from the Greater Jackson Chamber Partnership to help fund the studies that are going to be needed to be completed. This is basically the homework that we have to do to turn into the teacher, and we feel very good about the grade that we're going to get. So we want everybody to know that this is real, that this is happening. This is something that we can all feel good about. And I'm just gonna make one other observation, Dwayne. When we started this process 18 months ago in this room, and Dwayne didn't allude to it, he mentioned it, Mick Fleming was here, and everybody talked about all the different things that could be done in this community to change the direction of the community, to transform the community. And when we walked out that door in the back, I looked at Dwayne and I was stunned, because nobody said anything about the lake. And what that said to me was people had quit believing that it was going to happen. And I'm here to tell you today that this is going to happen. Things are coming together. Okay? So I don't want anybody walking out of that door today and feeling any differently. Thank you.
Y'all ready to go to work? Okay. Again, apologize for those of you that had to stand. We'll let you sign up first. But thank you once again. This Vision 2022 is going to be a great success. I feel that everybody has been very, very supportive. We look forward to working with you. Please sign up for the various initiatives. We need you. We want you to be there and be a part of it. Thank you for turning out today and making this such a big success. Have a good afternoon.